You can't just mandate them. If there is a competition, that means everybody's playing to win. So if you are playing to win, you need to put out your best legs as possible. And when you consider that the second team of some certain sides can even are
Can
even as
even
good
stand
enough
up
to
to
beat
the first team of
the
a
first
lot
team.
of
So
teams.
it would be, imagine telling a team like Gibraltar to use their second team when their first team to start with
It's not even
is not even
good.
standard. So it doesn't make sense.
Welcome. This is Naija Football Talk. My name is Chima and I have Bolu and Kolade with me. This episode is going to be a very brief and interesting episode because there is something right now going on in the world of football. There is a loggerhead happening between players and the football authorities. Those guys who set the match fixtures, those guys who set the match calendars. Players are saying that they are giving them too many games to play, and some players are asking them to reduce the games. Guys, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And as usual, for those who don't know, I have my co-conspirators with me, Bolu and Kolade. And today we're going to be doing justice to that topic. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Nice one. So this issue has been going on for quite some time now, but most recently, Virgil Van Dijk, the GOAT of the last 3 or 4 years, as far as defense is concerned, he brought it up again when he was on international duty with Netherlands, and then there was even a question of if he was going to be able to reduce his salary for less games and all of that. So what do you think actually about these calls, Bolu? What do you think about these calls coming from players? Is there any head to it? Are they being lazy? What do you think about the calls?
Of course, it needs to be spoken about because it's something that individuals have talked about over the years that nobody really seems to pay attention to. So now it's good that high-profile players are coming out to speak about it. Players who are actually at the very top level, playing for top-level clubs that have 5-6 competitions to compete in, and those players are expected to play every single game. So it's actually good that players like that are coming out now to talk about it, and it really is becoming a problem because the fixtures, like, they don't just consider the fact that players, use their bodies, and it's become a problem. And I think it's very good. It's very good that now players are beginning to come out to talk about it
because it can be a problem, really. Especially look at the past 2 years now, where we've seen a lot of injuries.
COVID,
COVID,
World Cup
everything.
schedule,
Fitness has been a problem at every club this season and last season as well. In fact, since COVID, like we said. But now the journalist asked Van Dijk if he was going to accept lesser games and it will affect his pay. Do you think that question is a relevant question? Do you think they should be paid what they can? Do you think they should be continue paying, or they should accept the games, lesser games for lesser pay? Do you think that question at all is relevant?
Is absolutely bollocks. Completely irrelevant. Yeah, these players already, they are under contract. They know they have a number in their head. I think you know that if your club will get to the FA Cup final, Carabao Cup, you already know that I'm playing 50 to 60. Yes. I'm playing 50 to 60 games thereabout. You're trying to condition your body to work at that level. But if they are creating needless competitions like the Nations League, making changes to the Champions League format and all of that, then it makes no sense. So the question is completely irrelevant.
It's really irrelevant because if you look at it also from the angle of even normal fitness, if the player gets injured in the normal run of games, they'll still have to get paid. You understand? So speaking of how many games a player should play, what do you think is the best for any player so that they can at least elongate their careers? Because these days now, players don't they go 33, 34, they don't they retire. So
Hazard,
I mean, injuries kill that one career, man. So what do you think is the best that a player can play to elongate their career?
Well, considering there are 34 games in most leagues, 38 games in most leagues, and maybe Champions League, Cup games, I think a good number should be 60, 65 maximum.
You
absolute
realize
maximum.
The main problem that most of these players are actually having are from the international games because there are a lot of international breaks these days.
Yeah, and the Winter World Cup did not help as well.
The Winter World Cup didn't help. So there are a lot of international breaks these days because if you factor in a player's calendar year, you have to factor the international calendar, especially those ones who are worth their salt. The likes of Van Dijk, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, all of them that have actually come out to really complain about these things. So, including international games, is 60 okay? Or do you think they can go up to 70? Or do you think they should not even try to cross that number?
Well, it depends on the international calendar. For example, if it's a year when there are international tournaments, you can go to. That's why I said at the absolute maximum 65. With international tournaments and maybe friendlies and all that, you can have 65 maximum. I think 60 for the club season, 50 something to 60 is actually enough for the club level. And then considering if it's a tournament year, maybe with 10 more games plus qualifiers with friendlies, pre-tournament friendlies and all that, and we can say 10 more. So 60, 65, it should be enough.
I mean, say Pedri, my boy is still suffering till date, man.
You people ruined him too.
Oh boy,
you people ruined him as well. His very first year in professional.
Barcelona used that boy, milked him. Spain national team took him to Euros. 2 days later, he was on the plane to the Olympics. At the end of the day,
and his life hasn't been the same since then.
He ended up playing almost 75 games in that same year. And look at Joao Aribo too. I don't know if that thing is what is affecting the young man.
Apart from burnout,
he has played so many. He played so many games. Was he last?
Yeah, he played the most games in 2022.
Yeah, in the whole world, man. Played every game for Nigeria. Played every game for Rangers. It was really
got
crazy.
to the Europa League final as well.
It was really crazy.
I actually even think 50 to 60 games might even be too much. It depends on your team, actually. Rodri played above 60 games last season, and that is only because City won the treble and they got to the final
of every
those
competitions.
Yeah. But if you take Carabao Cup, for instance, they beat your team, one game, you're out. FA Cup, they beat you, one game, you're out. So except your team goes far in maybe a Champions League or something, 50 games should even be enough.
Okay, so how would you make the current calendar better?
I think players should be given their deserved breaks.
Okay.
For instance, when you consider the Nations League, they are playing the Nations League at a time where they should actually be resting. Was a needless competition, something that was not even supposed to come out, and they just created it for nothing. What was their reason to give more games to the so-called lesser sides? It is not a valid reason. And when you consider that from next season, there will be like 50 plus more games in the Champions League, you can see how difficult this would be. So the way to solve it is just to give players their deserved breaks. Undeserved tournaments that don't need to come out, scrap them.
I mean, look at Africa too now. We are talking about the Africa Super League that is coming up very soon. Our players will start playing a lot of games. Here in Nigeria, you have the regular MPFL season. You have the Naija Super 8. You have this one. You have that one. And now some of our guys who go and play Africa Super League, just one person's body going through all of these problems. Anyway, if you ask me though, I would posit rather that players should be given leaves. Maybe they should all take 1 month off or something in a season. I don't know.
I think for me, the solution would be to respect players' breaks. For example, the season ends in May. We have one international break afterwards that spills until early June, and then they go on the break. Preseason starts July, August. I think in that period, if they're on break, they're on break. They shouldn't be calling them back during their break to come and join the international. Like, if they're on break, they should be on break. Let's respect the fact that players work 9 months in a year. Those 3 months that are left, they should at least have, okay, they're going to have 3 weeks break or 4 weeks during the summer. They should have 4 straight weeks of break. Not that they're calling them back to come and play 1 or 2 friendlies for the national team and then go back to their break, and then in a few weeks later they resume preseason. It doesn't make any sense. If these people are on break, let them be on break.
That's why I feel leaves are better. But it
will be difficult. Imagine Pedri saying he wants to take a leave somewhere around January, February when
things they hot. So, yeah, exactly. I get where the gray area is, but I really think if they really look at it, then they can walk through it anyway. But okay, let's look at this last question because we're running out of time now. This is supposed to be a very brief episode. Some opinions here have arisen in the whole course of the brouhaha, in the whole course of the wahala that has been going on, basically. Some say that for these friendly games, FIFA should mandate it that the lesser known players, those players who don't really get opportunity, like what CAF does with the CHAN tournament, that FIFA should do stuff like that and make it mandatory for everybody. What do you think about that, Bolu?
Well, it depends. I mean, that was the plan behind this Nations League. but you still see
You still
star
see
players
Van
being
Dijk,
played. There's no
all of them
You
playing it.
cannot create a competition and say people should use their lesser players. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody wants to win. If you say they should play their academic players in the FA Cup or in the Carabao Cup, everybody wants to win. That was the mentality most teams in England had until Mourinho came and was playing his star players in the Carabao Cup. And before we knew it, in 2-3 years, Mourinho had already had 3 cups. Even Guardiola started doing it as well. So you can't just mandate big teams that have ambitions to win a lot of trophies in a season to just play a certain number of players. It doesn't make any sense. If there are going to be competitions, everybody wants to put their best legs there.
What do you think about that, Kolade?
Yeah, I agree. You can't just mandate them. If there is a competition, that means everybody's playing to win. So if you are playing to win, you need to put out your best legs as possible. And when you consider that the second team of some certain sides can even as good enough to beat
the first team.
the first team. So it would be, imagine telling a team like Gibraltar to use their second team when their first team to start with
It's not even
good standard. So it doesn't make sense.
True. And if you consider, but one thing that could work though is, like you said, when Mourinho started using big names for Carabao Cup, maybe if there is a mandate like Chan, like I mentioned earlier, Chan is basically AFCON for Team B. You understand? Those guys are regularly not playing the normal AFCON.
The home-based players.
If all these competitions are, given to these guys so that teams will know how to rest their big names, then maybe stuff like this will not really be happening in the future. Well, it's been an interesting discussion. Thank you so much for staying with us. And yeah, I've enjoyed talking about it. And I really hope that, FIFA, UEFA, CAF, everybody involved in creating the football calendar can really work with these players, because we want to enjoy these guys a lot more. Hazard's retirement, it's really something that hit the whole football world, because that guy had a lot more to offer. I think he's one of those players who nobody really hated, even if he played for your rival club or anything, he's one of those players that nobody really hated. So I hope a solution is found, and we can continue to enjoy our stars for as long as possible. Thank you so much for staying with us. Make sure you like our video, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and leave your comments, leave your thoughts. What do you think can be done about this? Do you think the players are just being lazy, or do you think really that there's something to their cause? Let us know in the comment section below. And until we come your way with another wonderful episode of Naija Football Talk, from Chima and the gang, stay jiggy.